The Punnett square is a diagram designed by Reginald Punnett. It's also used by biologists to determine the probability to get a specific genotype. The Punnett square shows each possible combination of the offspring. An allele is any of the alternative forms of a gene that may occur at a specific locus. In the Punnett square, the dominant allele is represented in capital letter and the recessive is represented in non-capital letter. The allele determines all the characteristics of your body, including physical characteristics and psychological characteristics. There are two types of Punnett square. One of them is monohybrid. It represents just one characteristic. And the other is dihybrid. It can represent more than one characteristic. When the combination of alleles occur, you can have homozygous or heterozygous combination. An homozygous combination is when our alleles are identical to each other, and heterozygous is when they are different. The Punnett square could be used to determine the characteristics of a plant or a human or animal. Using a Punnett square sounds very hard to understand, but when you begin understanding it, you begin by drawing a grid of perpendicular lines. Then, you put the genotype of a parent across the top and that of the other parent down the left side. A genotype is the order of the genes that each parent gives. Then, you fill in the boxes by copying the row and column head letters across or down into the empty square. This gives the prediction of the frequency of all the potential genotypes among the offspring. The Punnett square is not always correct because it is like a game of probability. The probability could change. The most common way to represent a dihybrid cross is using a plant of P that was used by Reginald Punnett to help the idea of the designing of the Punnett square. This Punnett square is dihybrid. It has two characteristics determined. It determined the shape and the color. The first allele is a round shape and it's dominant, so it's represented with capital letter. The next one is rugged and it's recessive, so it's represented with normal R. And the color. Yellow is the dominant color, so it's represented with a capital Y. And green it's the recessive color, so it's represented with no normal Y. When you do the Punnett square, you can notice that there are 9 situations in which the plant would be yellow and round. Until now, we have discovered one situation in which it's the most possible situation that it get 9 plants that will be yellow and round because there are the dominant traits. So normally the plant would be yellow and round. Now we're going to see what is the probability to get a round and green plant. The probability to get a round and green pea plant is 3 because there are 3 boxes in which the dominant in which the combination gives round and green. Now we are going to determine what is the probability to get rugged and yellow pea plant. The probability is 3 because, as I said, there are 3 boxes that the probability gets rugged and yellow. And finally, there is 1 box in which the probability to get a rugged and green pea plant is 1. That is because the recessive traits combine, so it's very difficult to get a rugged and green plant. So using this Punnett square, we can say that the plant will be yellow and round, and that is the use of the Punnett square. In conclusion, is to determine the probability of an offspring, the probability of getting characteristics from parents.